top of the screen is slightly cut off. I don't want to mess with the feed too much, but I had to bring it down just slightly. Oh, shoot. I guess we're live now.
All right, here we go.
Cool. Alright, time is going to start once I select a difficulty and select live split. So let's go 3, 2, 1, and go.
All right, Gamemaster's Legacy for the Game Gear, the second X-Men game of three. He's going to jump right in here to the Hellfire Club. Throughout the game, Smelly will be using characters that have the ability to fly. Uh, Flying is much faster than walking in this game, so every opportunity he will be flying if he's going left or right and up. Now, falling is actually faster than flying, so if he's going to be going down for any period of time, he will cancel his flight and travel that way, which you'll see in just a second here. Start with Hellfire Club to unlock Rogue. It's pretty interesting in this game. You start with only Cyclops and Storm, and as you complete individual levels, you unlock additional characters. And Rogue is the character we'll be using primarily throughout the run, so we just get her unlocked first. First boss coming up, Shinobi Shaw. Now, Smelly knows right where he's going to land, so he sticks a fist out and lets him jump right into it. And then he just starts punching away. He's got plenty of health, and Shinobi's really not a big deal. So he's going to clear that out, no problem.
Yeah, so for most of these bosses, especially when you fight with characters that have projectiles, you want to get as close to them as possible. So the projectiles hit pretty much as soon as they spawn.
Now he's got Rogue, and we're here in the Danger Room, which can be kind of a tricky and confusing level. You have to move around using these teleport pads. The ceilings are a bit low, so sometimes it's easy to lose flight if you accidentally touch the ground. There's also arches that hang down. It's easy to get your head caught on those and get stuck for a little bit. It can be kind of annoying.
I got the clip back up into the platform.
The reason he wants to use Rogue through a lot of the run, I don't know if I said this earlier, her mutant ability allows her to do double damage, I believe, right, Smelly? On
Yes.
the bosses. So the bosses where he's able to get in and get punches in, he's going to go with Rogue.
So it's like really, really easy to clip up into a platform or just like touch the ground in general. And that's probably one of like, I don't know, one of the what do I want to say here? One of the most important skills to develop in this game is just flying low enough to not touch the ground, but still have a good flight path.
He's fighting Fitzroy right now. Unfortunately, you can't damage Fitzroy until he draws his gun, so we have to politely follow him to the corner before punching him in the crotch 25 times, as he's doing right now. So he positions it so he's not going to take damage from Fitzroy's gun.
Got an early entry too. Stage is so dangerous.
Yeah, Arctic. I agree with Smelly that this stage can definitely be dangerous. It's easy to get lost. There's not a lot of visual indicators to know where you're at in a level. So Smelly, you have a system, I believe, where you count some of the enemies on the ground to keep track of where you're at, right?
Yes, the jet ski people. I just count them up, and you jump at the second one to go into this fort. You jump at the third one, and the seventh one as well.
Gotcha. And part of the reason this level is dangerous is that there are a ton of enemies you have to get through.
Here's number
And if
3.
you do get lost, it's easy to end up short on life before you get to the boss. Something you may notice is that the characters don't recoil when they take damage from enemies. So when you're routing, a lot of times you're just focusing on the shortest path. As long as you have enough health to defeat the boss, it's not a big deal if you take damage.
Yeah, I might have to take some safety health here.
Oh sure, yeah. The boss here, Sienna Blaze, can be a little bit tricky if you're low on health.
Yeah, it should end up with 2 health now. I got hit quite a bit.
So you can see Smelly's health and the mutant power up in the left-hand corner. The yellow is his health, the blue is his mutant ability. The health is restored by hearts, as you may have guessed, and then the mutant power is these 4 floating X logos.
Oh, no, ended up with 4. We're still good here.
Okay. Oh yeah, you're in good shape. Cool.
Just can't crash into her too much.
He's gonna slide right behind her and try to space it appropriately so he's not taking damage, but he's damaging Sienna, and that went perfect. Yeah, she didn't get to fire any blasts off. Cool.
Now we get our flyover stage.
Yeah, it's almost too bad that this level's like this. So I've never seen the bottom half of this stage because he's able just to fly over the whole thing. Now the devs did put something in place to try to defend against this. If you fly too high, a drone will come in from the left and chase you down, lock on, and explode, which I had never seen in any of Smelly's runs. So I was certainly surprised when that happened to me when I was flying in the Arctic playing this game.
Yeah, so this is why flight is just so broken. And they put in very few things that actually limit you from flying in this game.
I almost wish it depleted your mutant power more quickly, you know? So you weren't able just to fly all the time everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the third Game Gear game, Mojo's World, you start out with Rogue, so it's incredibly broken from the start. Yeah.
And also, you'll notice that we didn't choose Rogue for this stage. At the end, we're going to fight Fabian Cortez, and he has an ability that will blast your character backwards. So it's hard to get in and stay in consistently with Rogue, so it's better just to use a character with a projectile like Storm. It's not so bad to have a level like this mid-run. I guess if things are going well, I guess you can kind of collect your thoughts and find out what you need to do next. But
yeah, it's very relaxing.
Yeah, for sure. And sometimes it is nice to have a gimme in a speedrun, I guess, when everything else is technically demanding.
So pretty much it's a standard boss fight here. I'm just moving closer to him so those bolts don't have to travel as far. You can't push Storm back too far, especially if you're holding left. So, did these stages out of order. I got an extra character in there.
And so next up we have Avalon, which everything I said about the danger room, I mean, goes double here. The ceilings are super low. There's a lot of things to get hung up on and get stuck on, which can interrupt your flight, which is annoying. There are some sections that require you to crawl underneath, as you're seeing. It's also just kind of a confusing maze. It's easy to get lost in here when you're first learning the run.
Yeah, it's set up like a huge spiral, and there are only certain pathways you can take to actually get to the next section. And they aren't very well marked either. Like, you can only go down here to get to this section here.
I like that there's a few opportunities to cancel flight and fall as well. I think that adds kind of a little fun flavor that you don't get in every level anyway. So the boss here is Exodus. He can be a bit of a troll. He can spawn in a couple of different locations. One is much better for the fight, and Smelly has a way that seems to manipulate or to control where he spawns by doing an entry where he enters, exits, and enters again, as you saw. And
yeah,
this is where we want him. Good.
With these kind of tapered ledges, it's really easy to like walk off and then clip right back up onto the stage, or to the ledge rather. And I think he just has that default spawn position, and for some reason that just resets it if you go out of the room and go back in, like that way.
Oh, I gotcha. So at this point, you're no longer able to choose which level you go to. Everything converges just down a single path for these final 3 levels. And we are seeing Jean Grey for the first time. So Jean Grey operates a lot like Storm, has flight, and has a projectile. We choose them here. Here, you'll see him shoot this switch from afar, which can save some time. It's also nice because he saves some time on the character select screen. He doesn't spend as much time scrolling through characters and having them march out before he can select his character. Oh, nice. He got that jump before he hit the spikes. That's tough. He can also get a few shots off on Squashed Apocalypse before he starts teleporting around, which is also nice.
So this level was designed to be really long and confusing as well. but for some reason, flying characters can go right down through those barriers if they're in flight.
Oh, I didn't know it was only. Oh, I see. I see. I didn't know it was only flying characters that could do that. I think that level could also be a bit longer if you choose to unlock Cable, which I have yet to do. I'm not even sure where he's at in there.
Yeah, you have to go down the first warp. And actually, only Cyclops can save him.
Oh, interesting. So at the end of this level, we'll be fighting Mr. Sinister. He has a unique trait in that he is immune to the mutant abilities. So you're not going to get double damage from Rogue. You aren't able to damage him with projectiles. I think with the exception of Cyclops and maybe Cable. Because of that, it can be hard to do enough damage to him before he depletes your health and kills you. So for that reason, we used to use Bishop on this level. But Smelly developed a strategy recently where he can position Jean Grey and Sinister in such a way that he'll be avoiding a lot of damage from Sinister and doing enough damage to him to win the fight before he runs out of health. So I think this ended up cutting off like 80 seconds or something ridiculous from the run.
Yeah, if you land like... Sorry about that. Yeah, if you land right there and you start hitting him, it kind of sends him into this pattern where all he does is just walk back and forth. And this was developed totally by accident, by the way.
Oh, that's right. You selected the character by mistake and then it ended up working out.
Yeah, it just happened to work out that she can duck under Mr. Sinister's bolts and fly through the entire pyramid.
It's unusual. Both Rogue and Storm cannot duck under those projectile attacks.
Oh, gotta turn mutant power on.
Alright, here we are. Final stage, Strife's level. In some ways, this reminds me of the Arctic level, not because of its layout, just because it's so similar that it's easy to get lost here, in my opinion. There's not as many visual indicators. It's easy to blow right past the turn you need to make. And I have lost a couple of runs by doing just that.
It should be coming up here. This is the wall you want to look for.
Oh, yep, you got it right there. And so we'll do a couple of flight cancels to drop down and save some time.
And then Strife is basically the same as fighting Cortez, except he does a little more damage.
Yeah, same thing. He'll be blasted and smelly backwards, so we've got a projectile user. Doesn't matter if you choose Storm versus Jean Grey here, are both equal.
What's nice is he does that first one and almost blows you like right into the best position to fight him. And it's time.
All right. And 12:20. Excellent run. Well done. So I think just over, you had set the previous world record about a year ago, and that was sitting at 14 plus minutes, right?
Yes.
So you've cut off 2 minutes in your recent routing and rework of the game, which is cool.
It was mostly because of Pyramid 2. Yeah, Pyramid 2, like, just optimizing that just cut off so much time, like, probably, yeah, a minute and a half or so. But yeah,
right on, dude.
The ending. We just get this nice photo of the X-Men.
Yeah, it's too bad in the speedrun we have to skip all the portraits in between the levels. I think they all look great. It'd be cool to spend some more time on those, but obviously we can't at a speedrun.